Meghan is going to have to answer all Samantha's questions from her lawyers, whether she lied about Samantha, about Thomas Markle in her notorious interview with Oprah Winfrey.
So it's like a counterattack is what Samantha's saying is that Meghan is so conniving that she's spreading all this false information out there in the media about Samantha so that Samantha's statements aren't believed. When I'm looking at this as a lawyer, when I looked at the court file, because I wanted to understand this case, so I looked at every piece of paper that's filed here. This thing is a disaster.
Meghan Markle is reportedly shaken to her core and doesn't know where to turn after what should have been a simple appeal turned into a complete public embarrassment. What unfolded inside the courtroom was nothing short of a nightmare for the Duchess of Sussex.
I'm not making him testify. He wants to.
Things just got a whole load worse for Meghan Markle because her sister Samantha ain't going anywhere. With new headlines in the US about this bombshell new court battle taking place.
Chief Judge William delivered a blistering rebuke that ripped into Meghan's high-powered legal team, leaving them stunned, speechless, and scrambling for words as if they had forgotten how to practice law altogether. And if that wasn't humiliating enough, Samantha Markle's attorney, Peter Tickton, seized the moment and unleashed a devastating attack that threw the entire case into chaos.
If the judge allows Samantha's suit to go ahead, then Meghan may be forced to publicly produce an embarrassing host of texts, emails, and other private messages relating to her sibling and her equally estranged father, Thomas Markle. Nigel joked, "We don't need a court ruling to tell us about Meghan's somewhat flexible relationship with the truth. We already know."
The 9th of September 2025. This was the date of the most recent hearing between Meghan and Samantha. The energy in the courtroom was tense from the very beginning. As Meghan walked in with her legal team, all eyes were on her. But instead of projecting confidence, her lawyers stumbled right out of the gate. When the judge asked them to present the case file, what they handed over was so poorly prepared that Judge William immediately rebuked them in open court. He scolded them for presenting documents that were sloppy, unchecked, and legally weak. For Meghan's team, this was not just embarrassing, it was devastating.
And I'm looking at this as a lawyer when I looked at the court file because I wanted to understand this case. So I looked at every piece of paper that's filed here. This thing is a disaster.
Royal commentator Nigel Jones told Sky News Australia, "If you thought there were more important things going on in the world than the bruised ego of a pampered princess, Meghan Markle is about to prove you wrong."
In an almost unbelievable moment, Judge William went through Meghan's arguments step by step, dismantling them in front of everyone. He pointed out flaws, contradictions, and missing elements, showing the courtroom exactly why the appeal was off base. By the end of it, he made it crystal clear. Meghan's legal strategy was fundamentally flawed. It was like watching a castle collapse brick by brick right in front of its owner.
It's not true. And it was at the direction of her to somebody that worked with her. You know, shame on you. That's horrible defamation. That's not part of my suit, but that is part of the big picture. And I shouldn't have had to go through that.
Samantha's attorney, Peter Tickton, wasted no time taking advantage. Calm, methodical, and prepared, he tore into Meghan's case with sharp precision. He branded her defense as weak, scattered, and unfocused, arguing that her team was just as unsteady as their client. He shifted the narrative with ease, painting Meghan not as a victim of attacks, but as someone who was legally vulnerable and unable to defend her own claims. The contrast between the two sides couldn't have been clearer. Meghan's lawyers looked panicked, while Samantha's lawyer looked like he was giving a masterclass. As the hearing went on, Meghan's team admitted they had made critical mistakes. They confessed that they had skipped over key legal elements in their filing. Experts who watched the proceedings called it legal malpractice in real time.
Freedom, and then she had to say, oh sorry, Judge, actually, I did know about it, and I did allow my communications officials working at the palace to be involved. So she has a track record of being tripped.
Well, and she's not going to find in America the same sort of appalling judges as she has helped her here. Where the judge said about her outright lie, It was an unfortunate lapse of memory. You know, the judges in America aren't so supine, and she's going to find it very tough.
Commentators later described it as one of the most painful hearings to watch, comparing it to a live tutorial on how not to handle an appeal. Even Meghan, usually composed in public, appeared rattled and nervous as the cracks in her legal armor showed. But why is Samantha suing Meghan in the first place? This isn't just about family squabbles. Samantha argues that Meghan's public statements from the Oprah interview to the Netflix series deliberately targeted her, painting her in a false and damaging light.
Is suing Meghan for defamation based on demonstrably false and malicious statements made to a worldwide audience. Samantha specifically calls out Meghan and her hubby Prince Harry's 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey and alleges that Meghan published and disseminated false and malicious statements about her in the 2020 biography Finding Freedom: Harry and Meghan and the Making of a Modern Royal Family. The lawsuit alleges that Meghan's comments about Samantha were lies designed to destroy Samantha's reputation.
Of Meghan's legal team stumbling so badly has done lasting damage to her reputation. Instead of appearing strong and untouchable, Meghan now looks vulnerable, unprepared, and poorly advised. This disaster in court has also slammed shut any remaining chance of reconciliation with her paternal relatives. Whatever fragile ties may have remained are now completely severed. The Markles are more divided than ever, and Meghan's decision to take her half-sister head-on has backfired in the most public way possible.
I think the burden is on her. You know, she's the one that isolated the entire family, both sides of the family, the Raglands and the Markles. And she's ignored my father since his heart attacks. It's only humane to make that right. And no one can do that but her.
The media, which Meghan often accuses of unfairly targeting her, has flipped the script. For years, Meghan has positioned herself as the victim of relentless attacks. But after this hearing, the headlines are very different. They now describe her as incompetent, unprepared, and surrounded by a team that can't deliver. That change in narrative is dangerous because it raises deeper questions about her ability to manage her own affairs and even her brand. And speaking of her brand, this is where the fallout could get very real. Even if the case is dismissed, the cracks exposed in her legal team could shake the confidence of business partners. Brand deals, publishing contracts, and media projects often depend on public trust and stability. If companies start to see Meghan as unpredictable or legally risky, they may begin adding stricter clauses to protect themselves, or even worse, they may back out completely.
This is Meghan's worst nightmare, the source says. She's trying to build a brand, land new deals, and stay focused, and now she's stuck battling the same ghosts from her past. Bottom line, Meghan's not backing down, but she's furious this fight isn't over.
This could hit Meghan's earning power harder than any tabloid story ever could. It doesn't stop there. The weakness her team displayed in court could embolden others to challenge her. People who once felt intimidated may now see her as beatable. That shift could open the floodgates for new lawsuits or legal challenges, creating a chain reaction of problems for Meghan down the line. Even PR experts have been called in to try to contain the damage, but crisis managers admit this scandal is far tougher to handle than gossip or rumors. Unlike speculation, which can be spun or denied, a legal blunder leaves a paper trail. You can't erase a judge's harsh words from the record, and you can't spin away the sight of a team crumbling in court. And while the royal family has stayed silent, reports suggest senior royals are privately watching with interest. For them, this case represents a turning point, the moment Meghan's carefully crafted image cracked in plain view. From now on, many will remember her not as the Duchess who took on the establishment, but as the Duchess who lost her footing in front of a judge. And that kind of stain is nearly impossible to scrub away. Judge Williams' sharp criticism of Meghan's legal filing will haunt her for years. Samantha Markle may or may not walk away with a legal victory, but she has already scored a massive win in exposing Meghan's vulnerability to the world. So, what do you think will happen if the judge forces Meghan to publicly release embarrassing text messages with her siblings? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. See you in the next video.